Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our moderator for this session up on stage. Very good afternoon, sir. You can be seated. Our first panelist that I'd like to invite on stage is Mr. Amit Bivalkar, founder Sapient Wealth. Well, he's the founder of Sapient Wealth Advisors and Brokers, which is a group of professional people from financial markets that have come together and established a highly successful company. He started Sapient Wealth Advisors in 2009, and today manages assets over 12,000 crores with a SIP book of 40 crores per month. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Amit Bivalkar. Our next panelist that is joining us is Ms. Arpita Vinay. As Managing Director and Co-Head of Centrum Wealth, she has been responsible for providing strategic direction to the firm and leading the firm to a position in the business. She is also credited with conceptualizing and successfully executing some of the very significant growth initiatives and an array of proposition enhancements at the firm. Would you please join me in welcoming on stage Ms. Arpita Vinay. Our next panelist, Mr. Jignesh Desai. I'm just mentioning him. He's unwell and he's not here with us, but we would have loved to have him here. Our next panelist joining us here is Mr. Hemant Rustagi. He's the CEO of Wiseinvest Private Limited. He's a veteran in the areas of mutual funds and personal finance. After having been a part of the mutual fund industry for around 16 years, he promoted Wiseinvest Private Limited, which is a prominent mutual fund distribution firm. His core strength is thorough understanding of the mutual fund industry, ability to foresee emerging trends in personal finance, and the changing needs of various segments of investors. Thank you so much for joining us. Please put your hands together for Mr. Hemant Rustagi. And last but not the least on the panel, we have Mr. Suresh Sadagopan, the Director of Ladder 7 Wealth Planners, a fee-only financial planning and advisory firm. Ladder 7 Wealth Planners is one of the most respected firms in the financial planning and advisory space in India. Well, I have to say that this is an absolutely eminent panel, and I'm going to leave the panel to the expertise of the panelists and of our moderator, Mr. Khatri. Over to you.
Okay, good morning once again, and thank you for heeding our request to be here immediately after the coffee break. So what we will do now is quiz this eminent panel on on driving distribution success through digital capabilities. But first of all, I actually wanted to understand, digital capabilities is a phrase which is used very often. What does it mean, Amit?
We always confuse digital enabler transaction-led platforms with digital efficiency. I think what we need to understand is whatever has to be digitized will be digitized, but we should not restrict ourselves to only the transaction-led platforms and call it digitization. I think that is going to be a given for everyone here. What is more important is in the journey of wealth creation, how are you going to use maybe artificial intelligence or a machine learning or something to do with increasing the advisor's alpha. Research is something which digital can be very helpful. Onboarding and transactions is only 5% of the journey. But what we need to understand is how can we use all others in our MFD business. For example, Airtel in the year 2012 actually used AI ML to predict how many customers are going to port out of Airtel and join a Jio or a Idea. I think similarly, I was having a conversation with Mrudul here from Fidelity, and his is the next session. But what is more critical is, can we have something which can tell me when the client is going to redeem or when is he going to have more money to invest, and can I do my sales effectively according to that? So let us not restrict digitalization only for onboarding and transaction. That is what I think, Prem, is the essence.
Now, Hemant, if you could focus a little more on how digital capabilities add in the process of business development, which is seeking and getting new clients on board.
Well, Prem, I think it's very, very important aspect. First thing I would say that when we talk about digital capabilities, it helps you convert your business into sustainable, make it more relevant, and of course allow it to become successful by using digital technology as an enabler. I would like to put a little more emphasis on being relevant. I think this is very, very important here. I'll tell you how things are changing over the years, and if you don't keep your organization relevant by adopting digital capabilities, you are going to suffer. What used to happen earlier, it used to take weeks, maybe sometime months to onboard the client. Today, it's happening in a jiffy, okay? So if you have not enhanced your digital capabilities, you miss out on that. You're spending more time, you're spending more efforts. Second important aspect is the way client want information has changed completely. Earlier, it used to be like saying, okay, let's have a monthly meeting, let's have a quarterly meeting, let's have a half-yearly meeting, where the client would wait for you to discuss the portfolio, and they were happy about it. Today, the clients want information in smaller chunks, and they want it on demand. So I think it's very important to understand that if you want your business to be sustainable, you want it to be relevant, and you want it to be successful, you have to adopt digital. Couple of areas that you need to really work on. One is you should be able to kind of communicate digitally with your clients. And I agree. I think another area would be clearly in terms of having access to analytics and insights real time. If you don't have that real time, you won't really know what is happening. And of course, to allow your clients to have access to information and allow them to kind of transact through web or mobile app. So clearly, I think in terms of ability, this has to be the focus area. And this is what I think will allow distributors to take their business to the next level.
Now, Arpita, can digital disrupt the distribution business? Has it disrupted the business of distribution altogether?
Thanks, Prem. Before I respond to that, what I said to you earlier, I just wanted to reiterate that it's absolutely amazing to see 500 people in here. It's the 4th offline conference that I'm attending, and I don't think I've seen such a packed hall out there. So I think you and your team, it's absolutely fantastic, you know. And the earlier session by Karan, I think it was very, very interesting. Coming to a point here, I don't think digital is at war with distribution. It's actually a huge, big enabler. And it used to be a bullet point on a strategy. I think its core, center square to an organization's existence now, impacts every area. And I would like to sort of break it in 3 parts. I think there was some conversation around on the customer related. So at one end, your transaction processing capability, your ability to digitally onboard to make life simpler. To the other end of making it a lot more personalized, you know, why should it be 3 kinds of profiles only out there when none of us can be bucketed in those 3? It's a lot more persona driven, a lot more personalized, and the entire spectrum, there's a huge amount of work that needs to be done. But beyond that, the team productivities, handling your RM productivities, institutionalization of business processes to handle scale, using data a lot more efficiently, all of that is, and the various tools, and so, you know, for someone like us, which is a sort of a large platform, while we do deal with individual MFTs in some manner, but what is evolving is a nice hybrid between pure digital and pure brick and mortar. I don't think we are going back to those ages very soon. So the assisted model is for us the way of future, and within that, across all of these customer experience related, processes related, supporting our teams, digital becomes center square. So I don't think they're at war at all. Digital is a huge big enabler for the way the business will sort of progress from here on.
Okay, I don't have a representative of a direct platform here, but I'd ask Suresh, is digital equal to direct platforms? Because that's what is equated with in the minds of a lot of people here.
So it's a matter of interpretation, right? And anything can be seen as an opportunity, anything can be seen as a threat. Obviously, to answer your question, I don't think digital is equal to direct platform. There are all kinds of digital platforms which are available today, some of which are direct. First of all, this schizophrenic kind of approach to digital, I mean, slightly amuses me, because if you actually look at the digital capabilities, it is actually enabling us. Probably 10 years or 15 years back, we were spending, maybe our team was spending maybe 15%, 20% of the time on operational matters. Today, I think probably they are spending 5% on operational matters. Things have become very, very easy at the operations level. And I will concur with all the people who have talked before. See, now we will have to look at digital in a much more deeper manner, whether it is analytics. I would say we have to look at the client experience, which Arpita just mentioned about. See, digital takes away the grunt work out of what we have always been doing. So, digital actually is a huge enabler. Now, the question is whether digital is taking some AUM from our pockets and it is going into some platform. Possibly yes, but look at what we were in 2007 or 8. We were probably less than 4 lakh crores, and now we are at 40 lakh crores, and we are probably looking at 100 lakh crores in maybe 6 or 7 years. So, I mean, there has been huge amount of growth, and all of us who are here and all of us in this business have grown hugely. So, we should look at digital as an enabler. It is definitely not the direct plan or the direct platform. It's a huge enabler, and I would suggest that we should look at it as a way of delivering amazing client experience. I mean, it frees up the time. Digital also should be used for delivering client experience, which I think is the way to go.
Prem, can I add something to this? I think we are forgetting one important aspect, that in personal finance, nothing can happen without a person, right? So in personal finance, you have to have a person without which you can't really do anything. Technology, Prem, according to me, is like a road roller. If you are not on it, one day you will be under it. So you have to use technology for reaching out to customers. And we are in India, we are not in US. So if we have a sale going on Amazon, we will find the price, then go to the shop and say, Amazon pe itne pe mil raha hai, tu mujhe dega kya? So for me, robo-advisory, if you try to look at, robo for Indian investor is research online but buy offline. You need to be there. He will search everything on Google, yet come to you and buy from you. It is how you can reach so many customers and how your efficiency and post-sales can be enabled through digital.
Hemant, you are an individual entrepreneur. And do you look at building digital capabilities as a cost center, or is it something which enables you to increase your revenue by X times?
No, I think I never looked at it as a cost center, because like I mentioned to you, that if you want your business to remain relevant and successful, you have to adopt technology. But I think the important aspect, I agree with Amit, I think it's very, very important for us to understand. There are two things which will happen, or which are happening, at least in our business. What we are seeing is, look, there is no doubt about the fact that there is pressure of trying to compete with the fintechs in terms of digital capabilities. So clearly there is pressure on one hand. But I think, look at the other side. I believe that for any investment process, there are two stages. At the initial stage, he is looking at basically convenience, ease, simplicity. That works. But trust me, what happens is, and that's why I'm explaining, because why I don't look at it as a cost center, why I think it will really has helped us and will help us to grow our business tremendously, is that the stage comes when he has start having questions, and some of the questions are very, very complicated. And they cannot be answered through digital. Okay, when I'm talking about, let's say somebody is trying to plan for the retirement, it's not so easy that you just go and look at a calculator and saying how much I need to invest and then start investing and you build your retirement corpus. So there are complications, there are questions. That's what requires personal interaction. So I believe that a hybrid model of personal interaction and of course digital is going to be the way forward, and that is what we're looking at for growth. You have an example recently of a fintech trying to collaborate with just the MFDs. It's because they realized that you need personal interaction too. I think that's not going to go away. So I would always look at digital as improving our efficiency so that we can be in better control of our business. We can reach out to prospects much faster. Okay, we can make sure that our clients are happy with the kind of information they're getting. But I think the core of the whole strategy has to be a mix of personal interaction and digital.
Okay. And where does social media fit into all this? Digital capabilities, is it a subset of digital capabilities, or does it sit elsewhere? And if social media has any role to play in the life of an MFD or an RIA?
Yeah, so as far as digital capabilities are concerned, I think it is probably integral to the business itself in terms of servicing the customers. So I think a lot has been talked about this by the other panelists. So one of the things is it takes out, like I said, the difficult grunt work out of the whole thing. So we need to focus our time on the client experience. Digital platforms are actually going to help us only to certain extent in terms of client experience or, in terms of convenience and things like that. But the actual, most of the time, the actual advice is not going to be on the digital platform unless it is a robo platform. See, more and more when the country is becoming wealthier, you require an actual physical advisor to help. So let us understand this. The advisory capabilities are going to come most probably with a human, especially when there are when the amount of money being managed is significant. Otherwise, it can be digital. I mean, when you have 5 lakh rupees, it doesn't matter whether you have an advisor or you have a robo advising you. When you have 50 lakhs, I think it matters. So now coming to the question that you are asking me, as far as social media is concerned today, it allows you to touch your clients in multiple ways that was not possible at one point in time. It's a huge new communication channel that has opened up. And we need to be able to reach out to the clients over and above the outreach that we otherwise have in terms of other mediums like email and things like that. So social media has to be integrated into our overall communication so that, we give that seamless, amazing experience to our clients. So social media, we just cannot run away from social media. It's a part and parcel of the overall client experience that today we are giving.
And are you active on any social media yourself?
Yeah, I have to admit that I'm slightly lagging behind on that front.
Okay,
We need to work on that.
Okay. Amit, you have any lessons to share on how to use social media?
I think the problem is that if you get more customers, do you have the servicing team behind, right? So people want to be on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and all of that. They want to do Twitter spaces. Do you have the capacity and capability to handle those customers? Otherwise, for your brand, that customer is going to have a very unpleasant experience that I went after a marketing campaign and my needs were not fulfilled. So I would like to say a share here, and this is a dilemma which we also face internally if we want to do a campaign or not. And this is basis existing customers versus prospects what we want to get through digital on social media. So गौर फरमाएं, नसीब नज़र और नसीब का अजीब इत्तेफाक होता है. नज़र और नसीब का अजीब इत्तेफाक होता है. जो नज़र को अच्छा लगता है वो नसीब में नहीं होता है, और जो नसीब में होता है, which is your existing clients, जो नसीब में होता है वो कभी नज़र ही नहीं आता है. So what we actually do, I see a lot of people, business have mushroomed by sending one creative to 500 MFDs. And they have the same creative across Facebook. Yes. Now, what is that we are trying to do here? So if you want to get more customers, be creative yourself. Okay, you want to outsource it to somebody. I can't have 5 people sitting here having the same creative and saying Happy Dashera. That is not going to get me customers. What am I adding value? And that is my point, that you can get more customers. Do you have the team behind to handle those customers?
So what is it that you'd like to tell the AMCs? That when they're sending you all these things which you're expected to forward to your clients, how should they create something which is uniquely customized for its partners?
I have some disconnect there as to when I'm running my own business, should I not invest in my own business? Why should I be dependent on an AMC? So one should be investing their own money. How many people, and some startling evidence I would like to tell you, and this is based on what Sapient has done. 2.5 years since COVID, April of 20 till date. Please go back and have a look at your net sales number from April 20. Take out your AUM as of March 20. Take out your AUM as of 30th September. I will tell you, your net sales number has not increased beyond 10%.
That's bad news.
Yeah, when we say that we have grown, it is only because of mark to market. And look at the numbers, there is no growth absolutely. And I can tell you from Sapient's experience, we are 12,000 crores in asset. Prem, you will be surprised. My net sale number for 2.5 years is close to 1,000 crores. So on 12,000 crores, if I have grown by 1,000 crores in net sale, apart from having a 40 crore SIP book, think what is going to happen to the industry. So it is very good. Please understand, when we say markets are good, bullish, fund managers are paid to be bullish. They can't be bearish. We have to understand our own book. You go on social media, you get customers, but the net sale number is not improving. That is the reality.
Hemant, I know you are pretty active on social media. What are the lessons that you've learned from it? You're a prolific writer. You create a lot of your own content. How do you use social media as a vehicle to connect with existing clients and to get new prospects?
No, Prem, actually, I'm active, but I haven't actually used it for acquiring a client as such. It's just that, I strongly believe that if I'm doing my shows or if I'm writing something, I want to share it with more and more people, because the whole idea of writing is, one, because you're passionate about it, and second is you feel that whatever little you've learned, you want to share with people, because ultimately somewhere they need to get unbiased opinion, how things have to work out. So that's what we share. But what happens is it creates a connect. Sometimes we are not able to convert them always. You're not looking at from the business point of view, because there are different ways to look at it, but it creates a connect, definitely. I can tell you that I get roughly around 80 to 100 mails every day, okay? And I know it's at times very difficult to answer them, but I try to do that myself.
So this is personally or to Wiseinvest as a whole?
Personal, okay? Look, there are people who want to deal with you because they believe that when they're listening to you or they're reading you, they feel that, yes, maybe you're the right person I want to deal with. So business does happen. But I think what typically happens is they want to understand a lot of things. And they feel that if they're talking to somebody independent, I think that can help them. The way I look at it always is, apart from being passionate about it, is that somewhere you're contributing in terms of ensuring that the mutual fund as an investment option is reaching out to more and more people in different parts of the country. But so far I haven't really used social media for acquiring clients. So I think that's something that we're still debating whether we should do that. But definitely in terms of reaching out to people, in terms of making sure that they understand this as a product and what value it can add, that has been very, very successful.
Okay.
If I could add a comment to that. I think social media actually for a business I'm going to use a provocative term. It's like it's riding a tiger. Good job gets amplified, and so does when you set expectations and you're not able to fulfill them. So just the right balance for any business, any individual to be out there creating a profile is brilliant. Setting out expectations is brilliant. Giving a sense of the organization being a lot more transparent and being out there is brilliant. But I think, as one of you mentioned, that you set out an expectation that you can't fulfill. It gets amplified. It's beyond control. So it needs to be used with a very strong and a sense of perspective and a delicate balance, because the outcome that it sets into motion, and there are very many examples that I'm sure that comes to your mind, is not within your control at all. So it's interesting. It's great. It can be a big business enabler only if used in the right way.
Okay, you run a wealth management outfit. Many of your clients are high net worth individuals.
Yes.
Are they high touch, or are they happy to be doing things remotely?
So I'll take a little bit of philosophical approach to this, because all of us in the business of financials use the word very flippantly, trust, right? But trust is not a lot of language or English. What we've come to realize, and it's very intuitive as well, the client having an access, having a sense of control, feeling that the organization is transparent, actually aids in a very significant manner. And which is why when I started with saying that it's very strategic, it's core to our existence. So that's that. But the investors who will, so there are investors who are coming to the market the first time, which are DIY. Most of them are not the profiles that work with us. And the other end of the extreme, where the clients are extremely sophisticated and in their own right, therefore are DIY, they know exactly what they want, and they will look at the most efficient model. So these are the two places from our experience, the two extreme ends of clients who would like to do DIY, who know what it is, but there's a big fat middle out there who want a hybrid and an assisted model.
And how do you identify them? Because you could be sending so much of communication to people who don't want it. On the other hand, there'll be people who will require high touch. You may be missing out on them. How do you identify? You said there are three segments,
Correct.
basically.
Correct.
High touch, remote, and hybrid.
Yes.
Most of your people lie in the middle.
Right.
But how do you identify them?
See, for us, because the business model is oriented towards HNI, UHNI, where average ticket size would be about 8 to 10 crores. So the number of, we deal with about 5,000 families, and the understanding or the experience is a lot more sort of involved. An average person or who interacts with clients doesn't handle more than 40, 50. So there's a significant amount of personalization that happens, and therefore, so the highest end of institutional-like clients, single-family office clients, easily understood and recognized, which would be DIY. But because it's very personalized, it's not too many numbers out there. I think we have an understanding of the client that we end up dealing with. Everyone, what we've also seen that the same client for a non-complex product could choose to be DIY. A direct mutual fund is great. He knows what he wants. But for a complex, if it makes sense in the portfolio, a private credit product or a long-short product or an offshore product, or for us adjacent requirements, will want to speak to someone who understands it better. Yeah.
And how do you run, among all these people, you run a fairly large, elaborate organization. Yeah. Now, how do you go about finding out what are the digital capabilities which are missing, which are the ones which you should kind of tone down on, and which are the ones you should develop? How does that work?
So it's, in COVID, it's very personal to the organization, but in COVID we realized that it got amplified, it became center stage. So we actually started with changing the leadership. And the entire, so that it wasn't a bullet point in an organization structure, right? And it gets driven by the leadership. So a new CTO, new CEO, and the entire team sort of came in. And that continues to be, so our focus on, while there is digital initiatives on customer side, process side, RM side, a lot more, and for larger organizations, it's a bigger challenge, is one thing to roll out an initiative. It's entirely different thing to commercialize it and change the culture for people to, make it a way of life. I'll give you a simple example. During COVID times, the customers who were getting onboarded through digital was a lot higher than what is happening right now. Because as soon as life was back to normal, for an average person, it's much easier to send a courier person to go and pick it up. So the organization like ours with that size, we have a very different level of complexity. Initiatives are great, run like a project, and can be executed. The challenge is actually commercializing and the culture change that comes with it, which is a lot more slower process. So it is through dialogue, there are various, people from the front line across organizations are involved. We know what is required, but what keeps me awake is not the pace of the initiative launch, but what that we will need to do to change so that the adoption is seamless across the organization.
Okay. Now, Suresh, if there were to be a nephew of yours who wants to become an MFT, he's great at relations, he's great at analyzing numbers, he's someone who can look at fact sheets and figure out things. But he is, let's say, assume a zero in digital capabilities. What should he have on day one that you would advise him?
So today you can be zero on digital capabilities, but you should have the mind to acquire the appropriate, you can say, bricks which are already available. Okay.
Which are they?
It depends on what you are actually looking at. For example, suppose you want a reporting platform, they are available. You want a transaction platform, they are available. Customer relation platform, they are available. Somewhere some of these platforms are integrated. Probably not to the extent that we all want, but it's all available. So it's all like a brick in the wall, which you can, bricks which you can put together into a kind of an edifice that you want to create. If I have the nephew, I would say, forget about going for a job. This is the profession to be in. We are at 40 lakh crores. In a matter of about 15, 17 years, we have grown 10 times. And in a matter of another, say, 6 or 7 years, that is the expectation, we are going to grow another 2.5 times. And the people who are actually going to benefit will be all these people here and all those people who are going to join. So it's a period of explosive growth that we are going to see. And look at the numbers. So if you are looking at 100 lakh crores, let us look at the number today. Number is 40 lakh crores. 40 lakh crores is roughly 500 billion. India is at about 3.5 trillion. So it's about roughly 1/7. Okay. So now if you look at 7 years down the line, India is expected to be probably 8 lakh trillion, 8 trillion. And 100 lakh crores will be roughly about 1.2 trillion. So we are still, I mean, probably 15-16% of the GDP, whereas many other countries are far, far ahead. So the growth is going to be there probably for another 15-20 years at least. I mean, explosive growth. So I think the question has only one answer, which is absolutely. Forget about everything, come into this business.
Come into the business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Hemant, I'll ask the same question to you. If you have a nephew who's joining the business, what are the digital capabilities you feel are necessary for him to have from day one?
Well, I think I totally agree with what Suresh said. I think it's all available today. It's just that maybe you start your business, you need to have a better understanding of that, why you need digital capabilities. You need to have that mindset. Once you understand the nuances of the business, I think this is a process which happens over a period of time. This is not something that you're doing on day one, because you need to first understand, if you're getting into the business, what are the skills that you require. I would say yes, digital capability has to be the priority, but I think there are other skills that you need to have to set up your business. For example, you need to be committed to update your knowledge and skill. It's not going to happen maybe, it's a continuous process, because every aspect of your investment process cannot be robotized. So there are going to be questions, there are going to be shifting preferences of clients. You need to be kind of have the ability to learn about that. Second is, I would say, think of building systems and processes in your organization. Many a time the question comes that if I'm a one-man team or 2 or 3 people, do I need system and processes? Yes, of course need, because that brings clarity to your functioning. Everyone knows what their role is, what are do's and don'ts. Then, of course, build a capability of team building. Team building, there are 2 aspects. To have a team, and also make sure that you have the ability to delegate. Delegate both responsibility as well as authority, because that helps you in identifying where your next growth is going to come from. So I would say that this is a part of it. You have to have a mindset of adopting digital. If you come with that mindset, things are available. I think once you start your business, you learn about it and you're able to kind of implement them very successfully.
Amit, you made a reference to Airtel, and you said that they have the artificial intelligence or machine learning to tell them which are the clients which are going to kind of switch to others, and they probably have something to cross-sell also products and things like that.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked at adopting the same thing in your company? Because you have a huge client base, you sell so many products, and how do you kind of use artificial intelligence and machine learning?
First of all, thank you for not asking whether my nephew will come. So that means I am not as old as these 2 guys. So thanks for that. And I would like their nephews to join me rather than joining them. So thank you. When you look at the question what you asked, I think we have to look at both the sides of the balance sheet of a customer. Not only the asset side, but also on the liability side. I think if you can do a loan against mutual fund, loan against share available next to your portfolio viewer, where you can just click and say money available in 24 hours. I think that is the next thing which is going to happen. And that Jignesh
Incidentally, there is someone here who's actually put up a stall here, who promises loan disbursement within 15 minutes of application against mutual fund.
Yeah, so what I'm coming from is that if a client needs money for a bridge loan kind of a stuff for 30 days, 15 days, then you always have this as a cross-sell product. It also brings in stickiness to the client, and it also gives you revenue. Upscale, I was just talking to someone, you are 11% of the total savings in the country, and 2.5% of that is mutual funds, right? The largest cross-sell success in the world was Wells Fargo. And Wells Fargo used to do 8 products per customer, Prem. In India, if you draw a parallel to this, HDFC Bank has been able to penetrate with 3.8 products per customer. We are at 1 product per customer today. हर एक प्रॉब्लम का आंसर SIP नहीं होता है, और हर एक SIP का आंसर म्यूचुअल फंड नहीं होता है. There will be products which you will need to get onto the client's balance sheet. Look at it from asset as well as liability side. Use your digital footprint to talk to both the sides. I'll give you a classic example. Today, when rates are going up, there is only cost of money and availability of money. Today, the cost of money is going up. The availability of money is yet to be reduced. And once you will have availability of money going down, all your flows in mutual fund are going to hit a stop button. At that time, if you are on the liability side of the business, you can help the clients with actually such kind of initiatives. So for a cross-sell, upsell, I think this becomes a really important tool.
Arpita, is your company investing in artificial intelligence and machine learning to understand and predict client behavior?
It's a part of the game plan for sure, not there yet. We're getting our databases in order to be able to do that, but predicting client information using some of these predictive models will, I think, become a business necessity. So it's a part of the game plan for sure. We've just rolled out a CRM with Salesforce amongst the largest globally, and which puts a certain framework to the way we analyze data, but using machine learning and AI will be a part of it. Yeah.
Now, Suresh, you made a reference to 100 lakh crore. So I can't resist asking the 4 top distributors of the country with me. I can't resist asking them, of the 100 lakh crore, how much will be direct and how much will be otherwise regular?
So that what you're asking me is financial astrology now.
But we clearly have some idea of how it has grown, how it has evolved, because that's very important. Agar 100 lakh crore kar diya and most of it is driven by direct, that won't be such a happy thing for most of the people in this hall.
So I'm going to answer in 2-3 parts. So the first thing is, it is true that direct is also, you can say, mainstreaming. The amount of direct currently, primarily because of institutions, I think it is the client accretion, direct accretion is about roughly 40% plus. But at the overall level, it is much, much less. So the fact is that it is going to go up. Okay, but the fact is that from 40 lakh crores, we are also going to grow to maybe 60, 70, 100. Okay, so the pie is expanding, and there is huge opportunity for those people who are addressing the other portion of the pie. So to put it in perspective, probably direct can be maybe 35%, maybe 1/3 of the thing in maybe 6-7 years kind of thing. Yeah. Maybe 40%. Okay, but the fact is that the addressable amount for the people here, all of us here, is going to be larger than the entire industry size today. So that is what we need to focus on. The important thing that we need to understand is, going forward, it is always going to be client experience. What you are going to do for the client. And if you focus on that, direct or other regular, it really does not matter. Client experience is the thing that we have to focus on. And each one of us have to develop in that area. And these discussions are actually, in my opinion, irrelevant.
I would still ask Arpita. I'll ask you that irrelevant question.
No, I don't think actually it's irrelevant. I think there is the way the market is headed. We think almost about half of that could be actually be intermediated through direct. But the way we look at it is that the financial requirements of a client are, mutual funds is not the be-all and end-all of it. So 2 points there. I think the point that you mentioned, that the size of the industry and size of the pie is still going to be much larger than what it is. And therefore, all of us have a reason to stay relevant. And second is, direct or mutual funds is an important core part of the portfolio, but that's not the end of it. And there were conversations around asset-based products. Debt markets in India is an asset class of 4 to 18%. Equity markets from public to global to Indian, and there are a whole lot of ways to intermediate and advise on that, so on and so forth, on life solutions and basic wills and so on and everything. So direct mutual fund, and you will have clients for a particular low complex product may want to do a DIY. But the entire pie, there's enough and more value to be added where you'll be relevant. And I wanted to add one point which is not really related to digital, but for everyone in this room here, whether an MFD or a banker or an IFA, I think you couldn't have asked for a better career choice. There are no professions, can't think of very many professions which don't come with an expiry date. Globally as well, the portfolios of a person move actually across generations. And this is a unique industry which offers you to a chance to be a personal brand. you know, with age, with experience, every passing day, you actually get better at your job. So I think it's, so everyone's nephew and nieces, I hope, are encouraged to join because the level of advice and the size of opportunity are completely out of sync. There's so much that we can do and there's so much optimism about where we can go from here.
Okay, on 100 lakh crores, I'm tempted to ask another question because that will determine how profitable are you. You know, so of the 100 lakh crore, how much of it will be passive and how much of it will be active?
Well, Prem, I think it's a bit tricky, but look, it's evident now that the role of passives in the portfolio is increasing, and I think that will continue to grow. It may happen in different ways by investing maybe just directly into ETF or index fund, or maybe indexing a part of your own portfolio. But if I have to put it numbers, the way it is growing, and I'm not looking at necessarily the institutional money or the EPF money which is coming in, but otherwise I feel that we should be somewhere around 30-35% in passive and the remaining in active.
I have a different take on this, Prem, and I think Chatty sir is here. Hi, Chatty sir. Chatty sir heads sales at Nippon and co-CEO also. So Chatty sir was my competition when direct plans were launched. Now I am Chatty sir's competition because I hold a RI license. So why do you say that direct is not your customer? I am going to compete with Nippon for that customer and maybe charge only 5 basis points. But I will advise when to invest in Nivesh Laksh. I think that direct customer also requires an advisor. So whether it is direct or regular, it is in this panel that you will have to have that assets under us. So whether MFD or RI, I think the entire 100 lakh crores can be through the distributor itself. So I have that view because once the market don't perform, do you think a listed company will have the wherewithal to spend on the direct team? No, we are not listed. We will still spend that money. I think the listed companies will have a problem in getting that serviced.
So we've run out of time now. You've been a wonderful panel, and I hope everyone enjoyed. So big round of applause to all my panelists.